The truth behind our forgotten past. Final part. My hand tightened around the pendant. Across the room, one of the wall screens flickered back to life. The image showed the Royal Meridian Lounge, frozen on the exact second Killian had fallen asleep on my shoulder. Then it changed to my apartment door. My hallway. My bed. My stolen blockers lined up on a table like evidence in a trial. Someone had built a story around me before I even knew I was part of it. Killian's breathing changed. Just slightly, but I heard it. Dr. Monroe had called me a neurological response. Everett had called me a security concern. But in that moment, I realized what I truly was to Killian's enemies. Not a weakness because he cared. A weakness because they believed care could make him forget himself. The speaker crackled again. Let him lose control, Noah Carter. Let the world see what kind of monster protects you. Killian took one step forward. The glass trembled faintly with the pressure of his scent, and every instinct in me screamed to run. Instead, I moved around him and stood directly in his path. His gray eyes snapped to mine, burning with fear he would never admit. Noah, move. No, I said, and my voice shook, but it did not break. You do not get to disappear inside the monster they invented for you. His jaw clenched. They touched your life. They used your fear. Then do not give them yours. I reached up slowly, giving him time to refuse, and placed my palm against his cheek. He went still. The room, the red lights, Everett's urgent commands, the voice in the speakers, all of it seemed to fall backward. I stepped closer, not as a prisoner, not as a cure, but as the boy from the hospital who had once stayed until morning. Sleep later, I whispered. Right now, come back to me. Killian closed his eyes for one breath. When he opened them, the storm was still there, but it had a center. He turned toward Everett, calm as midnight over the lake. Trace the signal. Seal every exit. No one acts without my word. The speaker went silent. Everett stared at him, then nodded once. For the first time that night, I understood why men followed Killian Graves. Not because he was ruthless. Because when the world tried to turn him into a weapon, he chose control. And when his hand found mine in the red dark, he held on like I was not the thing that weakened him, but the one thing that reminded him who he was. By sunrise, the red emergency lights were gone, the city had returned behind the glass, and the penthouse looked untouched, as if the night had not tried to split us open. Everett traced the signal to a private relay buried inside an abandoned office floor 3 blocks from the Royal Meridian, but by the time his team reached it, all they found were empty servers, wiped drives, and a single live camera pointed at a chair where no one had been sitting for hours. Whoever had spoken through the walls had known when to vanish. That should have made Killian furious. Instead, it made him quieter. He stood in the library while Dr. Monroe checked his pulse, his eyes fixed on the pale morning over Lake Michigan. His hand still held mine. Not tightly. Not possessively. Just present, as if letting go too quickly might convince both of us that what happened in the dark had been less real. Dr. Monroe looked from him to me, then back to her monitor with the careful expression of someone pretending not to witness something private. His readings are stable, she said. More stable than I have ever seen them after a security event. Killian did not answer. Everett did. Because Noah was here. The words landed softly, but they changed the room. I had spent years trying to be unnoticed, trying to make my life small enough that danger would pass over it. Now the most disciplined people in Killian Graves' world were looking at me as if my existence had altered the rules of theirs. I pulled my hand back slowly. Killian, let me. I need air, I said. No one argued. He led me to a terrace sealed in reinforced glass, high above the waking city. The wind could not reach us there, but the view was so wide it made my chest ache. Chicago stretched for miles beneath the pale sky, traffic crawling like streams of light, ordinary people beginning ordinary mornings, unaware that somewhere above them, an Omega in borrowed clothes was standing beside an Alpha who had forgotten how to sleep. Until he found a memory with my face. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Killian removed a ring from his right hand. It was silver, heavy, marked with a black stone cut so dark it seemed to hold the night inside it. I stepped back before he could offer it. No. His mouth curved slightly, tired but real. You do not know what it means yet. I know enough. Rings from men like you are never just jewelry. That faint almost smile faded into something more honest. This is not a claim. It is access. Doors open when people see it. Questions stop. No one in my city refuses protection to the person carrying the grave signet. I looked at the ring in his palm. And what happens when they know I have it? Then they know touching your life is the same as knocking on my front door. The old fear stirred in me, but beside it was something steadier, something that had begun in a hospital room 11 years ago and survived without either of us naming it. I did not take the ring. Not yet. Instead, I closed his fingers around it. I am not ready to wear your world, Killian. He accepted that without flinching. Then let me keep standing between it and you until you are. The honesty of it hurt more than any promise would have. We returned to the library after that, where the book still lay open on the couch from the night before. Killian sat in the chair 6 feet away, the same distance I had chosen, the same boundary he had never crossed. But this time, he looked at me like he already knew the distance was not empty. It was trust being built one careful inch at a time. I picked up the book, but before I could read, he lowered his head, his voice rough with exhaustion. Stay until I fall asleep. I sat across from him, the crescent pendant warm against my chest. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, the most guarded Alpha I had ever known closed his eyes, not because the war was over, not because I was safe, but because for one quiet morning above Chicago, he believed I would still be there when he woke.